Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's football show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Rough, Tam McManus and Charlie Adam here with us as we look ahead to the weekend's football and discuss some of the stories emerging today. We'll start with a statement from the SPFL regarding the death of Prince Philip today. It states, on behalf of the SPFL and our member clubs, I'd like to pass on our sincere and deepest condolences to Her Majesty the Queen and the entire royal family. Prince Philip played an enormously important role in the life of Great Britain for more than 7 decades. His devotion to duty and his commitment to public service were shining examples to the whole of the United Kingdom and the wider Commonwealth. And it goes on to say the many contributions he made to society, from his role in promoting conservation and the environment to his patronage of the Duke of Edinburgh Award Scheme, have left an indelible mark. And just at that bottom part there, as a mark of respect, there will be a minute's silence prior to matches this weekend. So that's coming out from the SPFL on the death of Prince Philip. Let's get to the matters on the field. Rangers are playing Hibs on the Sunday. It's a cracking game to look forward to, but Steven Gerrard's obviously been talking about the decision by Rangers players and management not to indulge in social media over the next 7 days because of the racist abuse aimed at players. Glenn Kamara in particular. The club want to underline a lack of accountability from social media companies over the abuse. And Stuart Robinson has released a statement regarding this. We can confirm that as a board we are fully behind our players and management. Furthermore, we have arranged to meet Facebook and Instagram to underline our growing concerns. Rangers' hope is that clear and direct action is taken from social media platforms. The basic verification of users as part of the sign-up process to any platform will ensure that users are both identifiable and accountable for their actions. Rangers has driven its flagship Everyone Anyone campaign forward rigorously, drawing praise and support from fellow clubs, governing bodies and politicians, and we will continue to stand firmly against all forms of discrimination. We would hope that social media companies recognise the benefit of verified accounts. If they don't, it is time for government to step in and legislate. As a club, we will continue to consider all options which increase pressure on social media platforms. So that stance, I would imagine, Roughie, will be taken by all clubs sooner or later if there is this inactivity to try and stamp it all out.
Yeah, I think the social media outlets need to be brought up to speed and they need to be told. I mentioned it yesterday. I think it's somebody in the government needs to pass some kind of law that they all have to adhere to. And I think that's the only way we're going to stop it. It's great that everybody's making gestures, and making it aware that we're not having it, and it's got to be stopped. But for me, it's got to be somebody right high up in the government who's going to have to pull these people into line. And I'm surprised that they aren't. The media people aren't coming out and making statements themselves. They've been very quiet in this whole thing. So, yeah, I think the more awareness we make of it, they'll have to come out and make some kind of statement.
Rangers manager Steven Gerrard had this to say about the boycott.
Hoping that it gets into the right people's thinking in terms of people that are above football, i.e. the governments up here in Scotland and down in England as well, and something big can come from it. We know we're not going to be the club or the individuals that make that difference, but I think if people stick together and collectively, people can keep it on the agenda for as long as possible. Hopefully there'll be change happen.
Yeah, they need a lot of people to actually get on board with this, Charlie, because unfortunately people are not going to do it willingly. They need legislation.
Yeah, no, I think it has to start somewhere. You need somebody to take the bulls by the horn, really. And Thierry Henry sort of started that a couple of weeks ago, didn't he? And he said he'd come off it. And I see Swansea and Birmingham are clubs down south that are going to do it. And Rangers are the first team in Scotland to do it. So they want to set a trend, and hopefully the other clubs can follow suit. because it's it's gone on far too long, and it's gone on too regular now that the players what they're suffering and what are getting sent, it's incredible. And we just hope that, like you say, Stephen said, that it won't be Rangers that are going to make the government, but we just need to keep making it aware. It's a big, sport that can actually put out what they want to say, and hopefully they can make a difference. And we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Rangers appeal over the COVID-5. These are the players who have broken the rules. The appeal for this is on April 20th. Patterson, Bassey and Zungu will be available for the Scottish Cup tie against Celtic. Now, John Kennedy has questioned the length of time it's taken to hand out the penalties. And he's cited, of course, the punishment for Dubai and Bolingoli that was quickly dispatched to Celtic. What do you make of it all, Tam? I mean, are the SFA open to criticism for the delay, first of all? And then, of course, are Rangers open to criticism because they're clearly playing the system?
Yeah, I think both, Peter. I think the SFA have took far too long. I mean, when did this happen? 6-8 weeks ago? I mean, how are they just getting round to it now? It's not as if they're snowed under with other things. They should have dealt with immediately. And Rangers I don't blame Rangers. There's a loophole in there. They obviously want the players available for the Scottish Cup game, and they've used that loophole. So some could argue, yeah, it's against the rules, but it's not. It's part of the rules of the SFA. If you appeal, the appeal gets listened to maybe a week or 10 days later, and you get players available. Clubs do it for red cards. If they want somebody available, they'll stick an appeal in, even if they know they're not going to win it. If they want that player available for a game, so I don't blame Rangers for doing that, but it's taken far too long. I mean, it's 3-4 weeks, to get this sorted out, and Rangers are going to have these players available. And Celtic were dealt with very, very swiftly and heavily for Dubai. So I think Celtic have got a point, to be honest, that it's dragged on so long for this issue regarding Rangers.
Well, the key word, as ever, is inconsistencies. And Stephen Gerrard is in complete agreement with John Kennedy on that.
If you're talking about, obviously, punishments and stuff, obviously Bolingoli left the country at his own will and then come back in, and he trained amongst his peers, and he went and played at Kilmarnock and put other people's health at jeopardy, and he was given a 3-game ban suspended? Sorry, he was given a 5-game ban. I think 3 was suspended. The Aberdeen guys were given 3 games and they were all suspended, and there was obviously positive COVID tests on the back of that as well. So I definitely agree with John in terms of the inconsistencies.
Charlie, is this a situation where they're going to get a ban sooner or later, or do you think there will be a situation where it could be suspended or indeed kiboshed?
My personal thing, how it's dragged on, I think I think this will end up with 1 or 2 games. I don't think they'll be getting 5 and 6 games. How I believe the situation was that it was their own girlfriends that were in the house, and it wasn't random girls that was different from the Jordan Jones and the George Edmondson situation. So that's why I think Rangers will be saying it's a totally different scenario. Should they have all been in the house? No, so they understand that. But how I was led to believe that it was girlfriends of the players that were in the house, and obviously the music was too loud and there was a party and the police came. And Rangers are obviously thinking that is obviously different from what the situation was with Edmondson and Jones. So they're going to try and appeal it and see what happens. But like Tam said, and like I said, it's become a shambles, isn't it? We're 7-8 weeks down the line and still nothing being said or done yet. So it's the SFA have to deal with it and have to act with it soon.
Yeah, I'll just clarify that that's just basically what Charlie's heard. As far as we're concerned, the exact story is not out there. As far as there's been no. Here is exactly what happened. Here is exactly who was there and present. I mean, I think all that evidence definitively will be in front of the SFA, and they will make their call on it. But there's no doubt about it. It's taken a hell of a long time, and I think they've left themselves wide open to criticism. I'm sure they'll be able to explain it away. Anyway, here's the Scottish Premiership fixtures that we can look forward to. And as you can see, Celtic, Livingston, Hamilton, Dundee United, Kilmarnock against Ross County, Motherwell, St Mirren, St Johnstone against Aberdeen. And on the Sunday, Tam, Rangers against Hibs. It's undoubtedly game of the weekend. They're unbeaten Rangers and still hoping to go through the entire season without anybody taking 3 points off them.
I hope Hibs can burst that bubble on Sunday. I really do. I hope Hibs can go there and get a victory. There have been close games between Rangers and Hibs this season. 2 each at Easter Road, 1-0. I think at Ibrox, narrow victory. Hibs played really well that day. So there's been nothing in it between the three teams. And I feel as if Hibs can go there and put in a real top performance, they can win the game. Because I feel as if Rangers have dropped off a little bit in the League One. The only thing they've got is obviously the Scottish Cup and then try to finish unbeaten, but the league's in the bag. So depends what Hibs turn up. You know, I've seen Hibs obviously all season, and if Hibs go on and they're disciplined and they defend well, and you know, they Christian Doyle's now banging the goals in, then obviously they've got a wee chance.
Yeah, there's no need to you know, kind of throw your voice about, Tam. I mean, just answer the question. It's as simple as that. Anyway, whose dog is that? Is that yours? Is that
Mine.
Yours?
No.
Somebody's at the door. Somebody's at the door.
Mine.
Anyway, it's good. Hey, that's the joy in the live situation. I've got to say though, you know, Rangers, you wouldn't bet against them going the entire season now, Charlie, even though Ryan Jack's still out because of that scan, and Tavernier maybe a couple of weeks before he's back.
No, I said before I didn't think Rangers would be able to go to full season, but looking at it now, I think every other team will drop off. I think Hibs have got third place. Aberdeen, you know, they can buy a win. Livingston won't catch anybody, and you know, St Johnstone, can't see them beating Rangers either. So, and even I think Rangers will beat Celtic in the 2 games that are left, the Cup and the League. So I think Rangers will go undefeated the whole season. I think the manager will be drumming it into the players to say, this is a chance for us to keep setting the tone, setting the marker for next season, and saying whoever goes in across the road that we mean business and we're ready to go again next season.
You see that happening, Roughie?
I think it'll be a difficult game, but I still think Rangers have got the everything behind them. I think the Hibs defence, when tested, they let themselves down against the bigger sides. Rangers are going to score. They always score at home. So I'm going to go Rangers to win 2-1 in this one.
Right, 2-1 for you, Roughie. What about you, Charlie?
I'll go 3-0 Rangers.
I'm going to go 2-0 to Rangers. What about you, Tam?
I think Hibs can get a point. I'm going to go for it. I think it'll be 2 each.
Great. I'm glad you said that, Tam. That's good, Roughie. That's a good chance for us now in the final run-in. It's the Grand National now, Roughie. Tam's stupidity is playing a major part in us coming round the bend to take the final.
I was going to go
3-2
jump,
Roughie. Yeah, go on. You should have written down 3-2 if you have.
No.
Anyway, other bit of good news is Liam Balogun has signed a new deal until 2022. Charlie, that's good news for Rangers fans.
Yeah, he come in and I think he's done a job and he's done well in 2 positions, centre back and obviously filling at right back. So, you know, he deserves that. He's played enough games. I think it was to trigger an extension in the contract. So he's done that, and you know, it's another player that knows what it is to play for Rangers and gone through that experience of winning titles, and he'll be ready again to go again next season.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, and I often mention this now, and I mention it on this platform every now and then. It is a football channel. We do talk about football. So on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube, I would plead with you to show some decency and not indulge in anything that would in any way tarnish a person's name, especially on a day like today. Whatever your politics or your feelings are, someone has lost their life. So we have read out an SPFL statement regarding Prince Philip. So if you are posting any messages, please keep it about the football on the channel and keep some decency on a day like today. So I've got to get your thoughts, Tam, on Hibs, because they've got a £2 million insurance claim in, and they've already got £200,000 of it for the old COVID. Ron hasn't wasted any time. Never mind the £1.5 million that Roughie was talking about for an interest-free loan. has to be paid back in the never, never. This is Hibs taking full advantage of money available because they've obviously suffered some losses in their financial results.
Listen, I think if Hibs have got that, then it's got to be fair play to the people that's organised that, whether it's Ron Gordon or people involved at the club who've obviously had insurances against something like this happening. It'd be brilliant, it'd be a great little payout from Hibs, a real money booster. And, if they can get the £2 million, that's massive money for anybody in these COVID times. So fair play to Ron Gordon, I think, for having a wee insurance policy tucked away on the side of the couch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it won't stop down the side of the couch. You're going back a bit, aren't you? There's not too many people. Well, maybe there are quite a few people who still look down the back of the couch for the odd quid here and there. I know Roughie does for his initial signing on fee from Partick Thistle. He still thinks it's down the back of the couch. But as far as maybe selling players, Tam, is that a worry for you?
Yeah, I think it is. I think obviously, listen, every club's a selling club, and particularly over the last season, clubs have lost a lot of money. The Hibs supporters have been magnificent, sold over 11,000 season tickets. There's a Hibs supporters association who are pumping 15, 20 grand a month into the club. So the supporters have really, really rallied round, but they're still lost money, Hibs. And they've got some proper assets in there now, some young players who bigger clubs are casting envious eyes over. So it might be that Hibs have to sell one or two of them. We spoke about it the other day. But if they can get this £2 million insurance claim, maybe that could be the difference between keeping one of them. So we'll have to wait and see. But I've no doubt that Hibs will sell at least one player for a couple of million in the summer because they have to.
Yeah, Jack Ross has mentioned the fact that there's a problem to be solved.
My job is to solve the problem, if you like, at all times. Thankfully, I didn't have that big problem in January because of the decision we made as a club. But it may be that the summer is the right time that the club believes to maximise the value in certain players. And if that's the case, then we just adapt and move on accordingly. As I said, the very first scenario I painted there about everything remaining intact is the ideal one. But it's very rarely it pans out like that.
Yeah, Roughie, listen, the other thing about it as well is you can tell when clubs are investing in homegrown talent that they can reap the rewards of it. Hibs have got 2 or 3 players. One of them, Josh Doig, is a young man who's attracting attention.
Mm-hmm. Well, the way that they're all talking, it looks as if they've got a bid. It looks as if they've got somebody who's interested in one of them. So I think it's up to the manager and the owners to decide which one, if you can let one go, to sacrifice, that you can keep the others, and that'll be something they'll be sitting down at. Tam sees them more than us, interesting who he thinks will get the most money from, and which one they would rather went and which one they would rather stay. Obviously, everybody says a fullback doesn't win your league championships, so if it was a couple of million for him, that would be the way I would go.
Yeah, Josh Doig himself knows that there's interest from Premier League clubs. He's quite excited about that thought.
It's obviously exciting, but the first I've seen of it was on Twitter. My dad showed me it. It is still madness to myself, but can't focus on that too much. I know that, so I need to focus on the game on Sunday. But no, it is exciting, and obviously it's a confidence boost for myself and a big club like that. I seem to be interested in.
Yeah, Charlie. Yeah. I was waiting on. I don't know about you, Charlie, but I was waiting on him saying, "Yeah, it's quite exciting. I'm off."
That sounds to me as there's something lined up. He knows what's going on. The club will know what's going on. If he's linked with these clubs that in the Premier League, I think Hibs could do a deal where they can probably bring him back on loan. I think that would be worth it for him, because if he's going to go to a Leicester or a Premier League club, he's probably going to go to the 23s. He's not going to go and play in the first team at this moment. So if I was Hibs, if he's going to go to the Premier League, I'd try and loan him back. He's 18 years of age. He's played 20 odd games. So no, it'd be good for him to get that move. If clubs want to take him and see the potential, great. But if I was Hibs, I'd be fighting tooth and nail to try and get him back on loan to then go again for next season.
Rangers against Hibs on the Sunday. Celtic against Livingston, Roughie, on the Saturday. It's a strange situation. You just wonder what Celtic are going to turn up, how motivated they're going to be heading towards the last 5 games of the season.
Well, I think that's what John Kennedy's trying to get into them, that is important. The remaining games are obviously the games against Rangers, but it's always good to finish the season on a high. And that's what we'll be saying to the players. I mean, I know he's got the problem that some players do want to move on, but for the ones who want to stay, it's a chance to prove to him, that they're worth a new deal. And I think they're beginning to get their act together. They were creating enough chances, and the boy Turnbull looks as if he's going to score nearly every week. He's quite prepared to have shots for 20 yards. He's not really worrying about anybody else, So I'm going to go Celtic win this quite comfortably, 3-0.
3-0. Oh, that's magnificent, Roughie. You have completely and utterly lost the plot. He's gone mental. 3-0. What have you got? Oh, you've got 3-0 as well. Yeah, dancer. That is sensational. I could win this. Charlie. What a run I'm making. I'm going 2-0 Celtic. So it's going to be tight, Charlie.
Yeah, and I would expect Celtic to win. I think, like Roughie said, I think the lads that are wanting to leave have got a point to prove to other clubs that they're going to come in a bit of form to the end of the season. And the lads that want to stay have got to show a new manager that they're capable of playing for Celtic still. I think Celtic win this easy as well. I'll go 3-0.
Oh, all three of you. Okay, that's absolutely unbelievable. Of course, there is one man who's is coming in the next couple of weeks, early, ahead of time, to try and make it a smooth transition as Peter Lawwell steps down from the chief executive role, and that's Dominique Mckay. John Kennedy reckons when he does come in, he's got big shoes to fill.
He's obviously be starting sooner than expected, which is positive in terms of transition. But obviously he's got big shoes to fill with Peter. Peter's been a terrific servant to the club. He's given so much to the club in terms of, where the club was at when he came in and the kind of job he had to do in terms of financially behind the scenes and from a business point of view. And at the same time has massive success over the years. And again, Peter Lawwell's, legacy here should not be judged by this season.
Well, I'm afraid that there's two ways to look at it. There's a board that will look at it and think over the period that he's been in charge, Roughie, that he has been a huge success. I think, as far as chief executive is concerned, both for financial results and the power and the voice that he's given Celtic, then he's a huge success. But I think some Celtic fans will look upon this year and be highly critical of him.
I don't think he'll be able to get away from that. Obviously, the disappointment's there for everybody to see, and it will linger for a while. But if you were to take a step back and look at the money he's brought into the club, the way the stadium's looking just now, and everything else that goes with it, he's been a success. But no, I don't think he'll be able to dodge the 10 in a row and the way that things panned out in this season. And it's unfortunate, because I think the shareholders would all be quite happy with what's been happening in the last 10 years with the dividends that's been going out and the success in Europe and all the cups that they've won and everything that's been going on. So it's a shame that 1 year, will be lingered in the memory of a lot of supporters.
Yeah, John Kennedy mentioned there, Tam, about legacy. I don't think it's over. It's just a personal opinion. I do not see... obviously, he's going to step down from the chief executive role, but I don't see him leaving Celtic, and I certainly don't see him leaving some of the corridors of power, because I think there's more to come from him.
Well, you'll know that more than any of us. You know Peter better than probably any of us, Peter. So I don't know. Listen, he might still be there as a kind of guide to Dominique Mckay coming in, kind of bounce ideas off you or whatever at Celtic Park. But at the end of the day, Dominique Mackay's his neck's on the block now. So he's got to take responsibility for what Celtic do from now on. And I'm sure he'll do that. But, Peter Lawwell, I'm sure, will still be involved in Celtic at some point. Although he's going to leave and probably go somewhere else. I'm sure he's only at the end of a phone call away from Dominic Mckay if he's got anything he needs from the guy coming in. So we'll just have to wait and see, Peter. Yeah,
Celtic against Livingston. Of course, Livingston with their own points to prove. They want to try and finish as high as they possibly can. And now that they've secured top six, David Martindale reckons that the players are starting to play with a greater freedom.
The 3 or 4 games previously to securing top six, I think you could see a bit of nervousness in the players and the way they were approaching games. And within games of football. We were making mistakes that previous 14 games we hadn't made. So I think there was a wee bit of nervousness there. And once we secured top six, I think you could see that had lifted from the players a little bit and they started to play with a wee bit more freedom.
Okay, we'll find out if they play with that freedom tomorrow at Celtic Park. We'll go through the other games in a minute, but as ever, we always have breaking news. It's either a statement or breaking news that comes on this programme, Charlie. UEFA have confirmed that Euro 2020 games to go ahead at Hampden in June in front of 12,000 fans. So, good news that we'll have supporters in there, Charlie.
Yeah, Peter, but my concern will be how many actually Tartan Army fans will get in there, because UEFA will want the sponsors to have tickets, delegates will have tickets, and it could you'll end up with 2,000 or 3,000 in because of the amount of sponsorships and everything like that. So until we realise how many of the 12,000 are actually supporters, then I think we can move forward there. But listen, it's great news. I see Wembley's going to get 22,500 as well. So, it'd be great to just see supporters back in the stadiums again.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you back, Charlie, vaccine passports?
Absolutely. If it's going to get the game moving. Everybody's on the mobile phone nowadays, and it's so easy. It'll be so easy to use. I'm all for it as long as it gets the crowds in and we can start enjoying football how it should be.
Well, I know you're smiling there, Tam.
Yeah.
Well, I am because, well, exactly. But you will get one. You will get a jag. But Tam, you just stick it on your phone. You can scan it. Boom, that's you. You're in. I mean, it's better than only 25% of fans getting into grounds for a longer period of time, Tam. Surely.
Absolutely. The only thing is, we'll need to get Roughie a new phone because on his Nokia 6210, I don't think they've got a scanner on it. It's just got Snake.
I would take it a stage further and say you've got to have your 2 jags before you get in.
Yeah, absolutely. He's at it. That'll be just him and his 70-year-old mates. Anyway, apart from anything else, it's a good sign, Roughie, because 4,000 fans could be at Wembley for the game against England on June 18th.
Yeah, although we're talking about the Scotland Euros, and I think it's all the other clubs will see a light at the end of the tunnel. If we can get fans in, in June, the season starting in July, I think the other clubs will all actively now be seeing how they can wangle 25% in their stadium. It'll be a lot easier for the likes of us and probably Dundee and Hibs to a certain extent, because 25% of a 12,000 stadium, it'd be easy to move everybody about, and it would be like just like a normal game for a lot of clubs. So it's good that the clubs can move on now and try and get round the idea of getting whatever they can get into their grounds.
Yeah, other games coming up this weekend to look forward to. Hamilton against Dundee United. Brian Rice had a fair old rant last week, Tam. He's spoken to Crawford Allen. I don't think he's going to be calling him again. They had a chat. Some things he liked, some things he didn't like in the conversation. I'd love to have been one of those ones where they've recorded it.
Brilliant.
Wouldn't it have been great just to eavesdrop on Brian letting rip at Crawford too? Crawford's a nice guy, but Brian really passionate about the circumstances his side find themselves in.
Yeah, he is. Listen, that was a incredible outburst last week. And I think that Big Yogi's had a pop and off. So you can see that the pressure is showing down at the teams at the bottom, the managers. So we just have to wait and see. I seen Tommy Wright in a PLZ video today saying that Big Yogi needs to shut up. He's putting undue influence on the referees. So listen, this is what we like in the media. We like to see this spiciness. Tommy Wright against Yogi. That'd be some rumble. They go at it tomorrow, the two teams. So no, I'm all for it. Listen, keep it going. It's great for us.
Yeah, I have to tell you, by the way, I've suffered the wrath of Tommy's anger before. I have to tell you, and I did try and plead my case with him, but he let me know and gave it to me with both barrels before we eventually kissed and made up. But he's not one to back down, and he's not backing down with Yogi. He thinks Yogi should just maybe belt up and concentrate on his own side.
I don't really listen to John too much because he probably talks too much. Our focus has been ourselves. Maybe he should focus on his team. It's maybe referees have caused Ross County to be where they are. I think he's maybe trying to influence referees, but no, we'll concentrate on our own team.
I like the way he delivered that, Charlie. Charlie, do you know what's great
brilliant.
about that? There was just a wee bit of menace, Charlie, wasn't there?
Oh, it's just played it up perfect for the game, and Tommy's obviously will be confident going the game. He's at home. He's probably got the striker that could keep them in the league in Lafferty, and it just adds to being down there in a relegation battle.
I feel for Tommy Roughie on the basis that he's had to come in and he's got a set of players and he's trying to extract everything he can out of them and then maybe get one or two players in who could somehow make a difference. As Charlie mentioned there, Lafferty, I think, could be the difference between going into a playoff. I think they might just by the skin of their teeth get out of this. But he's battled away to try and get something out of them, and they've not responded the way he had hoped.
Yeah, and his hands have been tied a wee bit. Yeah, Charlie's right. He's got laughing, and when you've got somebody in your dressing room, they're getting a chance of scoring goals. It makes it a lot easier for everybody else. But I still think Kilmarnock have got players in there, who can beat the Ross Counties and the Hamiltons. And that'll be the important thing for him because he'll want to get the end of the season and sort of bring his own men in and players that he would identify, to make Kilmarnock a lot better. So, yeah, he'll be hoping for a win tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. There's two games there we were talking about. I've got Hamilton Accies 1, Dundee United 1. What have you got, Tam?
I think Dundee United will beat them. I think Hamilton will get relegated. I just feel as if they're sinking now. They've had a wee run, but now they're up against it. I think 3-1 to Dundee United. Too much quality for them.
3-1?
Yes.
Oh, this is fantastic. Charlie, he's lost his marbles this week. His score lines are magnificent. I mean, it's now erratic.
I'm expecting goals tomorrow.
I love you when you're in this mood. It's just complete lunacy, Charlie.
No, he's gone for the jugular, isn't he? I don't think there'll be many goals in it. I think it'll be an edgy, cagey game. Hamilton will be desperate if they can get a point at it. I think they'll be delighted with it because I think they would expect Kilmarnock. Do you think Kilmarnock, if they win tomorrow, that's them safe? It's put them 4 points ahead of Ross County, so it'll be interesting. But I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw. Hamilton against United.
0-0.
Well, after
Get him off the show.
What are you laughing for?
Why? I've thrown you 2-0 Chelsea away in Portland in the Champions League the other day.
Exactly.
I'm just thinking lack of quality on show. You're talking about quality. Yeah. I'm talking about lack of quality on show tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. What did you go, Roughie?
Well, after last week's Scottish Cup defeat, that mob up in Dundee United, they've taken over for Ross County now for the rest of the season. I'm going to go a Hamilton win. I'm hoping it's a Hamilton win, 2-1.
All right, okay. And as far as Kelly are concerned, Charlie, I think Kelly can just sneak it 1-0 against Ross County.
I'll go 2-0 Kelly, sorry.
Tam?
I've got 1-0 Kelly as well.
Roughie?
2-1 Kelly.
Okay. I noticed Dundee United say they've opened talks with Peter Pollitt. They want to keep him, don't want St Johnston to sneak in there and get him. So, I mean, Peter Pollitt's still got a lot to offer in my book, Charlie. I don't know how you see it yourself.
Yeah, I think he's one of these players that, he's different from what they have, and I think he's done well for United this year. So if they can get him, they won't want to lose them to, somebody they'd be challenging the top six for. So, if they can get that done, it'll be a good piece of business.
Yeah, absolutely. It's strange, actually. Motherwell against St Mirren. It's one of those ones where, I mean, Tam Cowan mentioned earlier in the week, Roughie, that he was still, I don't see them being involved in it. I think they've got too much now and they've got enough of a cushion. I don't think they'll have anything to worry about. And they're against a good St Mirren side.
Yeah, but again, you're you're looking at Motherwell, if they turn up on the day, they've certainly got quality players there up front as well. So I think the home advantage might just edge this one tomorrow, and I'm going to go Motherwell 2-1.
Yeah, I've got 2-1 as well. Charlie?
I'll go for a draw, 1-1.
Yeah, Tam?
I'll go the same as Charlie. One each. I've got that down.
Yeah, I wonder if you can...
pulsating 1-1.
Yeah, a really unbelievably entertaining one. I wonder if you can guess, Tam, how many seasons Motherwell have remained in the top flight. If they can secure it this season, this will be their... How many years do you think? How many seasons? You say 40. Charlie?
36 years.
Roughie?
I'll say 39.
39, okay. Charlie, you are on red hot form at the moment, son. 36. This will be Motherwell's 36th season in the top flight if they can secure it. Charlie is on fire, by the way. Look at him. And look at that wee sneaky kind of a midfield arrogant look. Yep, that's it, Tam. Yep. He's got that smug look as if he's about to hit a 40 yard.
It was like the no-look pass against Celtic in the Old Firm game.
Form is temporary, lads. Form is temporary.
Yes. Oh, brilliant. I like that, Charlie. I'm happy with that line. St Johnston against Aberdeen. Now, this one, there could be points up for grabs here, boys, because I'm looking at St Johnston. They're 6th, and I'm looking at them and thinking St Johnston, 4 points behind Livingston, 9 behind Aberdeen, but there's something to play for because Callum Davison clearly, as you can see here, he clearly thinks that this is a real chance to climb that table.
We've obviously played really well against them this season and actually not probably taken as many points as we like. I think it's a big game for us. It's a huge game for us regarding the top 5. I think if we can get a result on Saturday, it'll put pressure on the teams above us. Because you're obviously going to play Rangers, Celtic in that top 5 as well, which points are going to be hard to come by.
Yeah, interesting. I've got St Johnston to win it 1-0 because I think Aberdeen have been ranked rotten, Roughie.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I saw that Aberdeen Dumbarton game last week there. I don't think Aberdeen have got 2 goals in them, so I'm going to sit in the fence in this one and go 1 each.
Charlie?
I'm going to go 0-0.
Yeah, Charlie, I understand where you're coming from. Honestly, if you had
2 teams can't score goals.
Exactly. If you had Cham's 50-foot dish, and he said, Peter, you can use the big dish and move it round towards where Aberdeen are playing, I would not in any way move it towards where Aberdeen are playing. They are terrible to watch at the moment. Stephen Glass has got a big clear out coming in the summer.
Come on, Tam.
Tam, what are you going for? What are you going for?
Oh, you talked to me there, sorry.
Yeah,
right,
well, hang on.
I was really, really going to go for 0-0, but I just can't bring myself to put a 0-0 in. So I'm going to go for 1-0 to St Johnston.
Oh, right.
I think it'll be a horrific game.
Have you written down 1-0 to St Johnston? Did you write down 1-0 to St Johnston?
Aye, I've got it. It's there.
Yeah. Let me see. Right, that's okay. Good call. 1-0. That's fair. Okay, we've given you all the scores. You can give us your thoughts on it as well. Richard Henry thinks St Johnston to win 2-0. Richard, I think, who am I to argue with you, Richard? I know Aberdeen are incapable of scoring lots of goals, so I'm not so sure it's going to be one of those entertaining ones for people to watch. But if you're a die-hard Dons fan, Stephen Glass has actually had a chance to chat to the players. Roughie hasn't been out of his hotel, but he's had a chance to chat to the players. I wonder what he's another one I'd love to have been on the phone call. I wonder what he said to them.
Sure. Try and score some goals, guys.
Yeah. Absolutely.
try and score some goals.
Or this could be the last time I'll be speaking to any of you for quite a while.
I think the one thing for Stephen will be just getting... trying to build a relationship now until he comes in the door with your Lewis Fergusons, McCrory's, people that are going to be instrumental in them next year and having a plan of how they're going to play and what he wants to do, so the lads could have it in their mind before he even comes in the door. So I think it's a great idea. It's, Tam will probably know more than me that he'll be in a hotel in Aberdeen waiting to get out of quarantine ready to go. And like I say, you won't see much difference between now the end of the season and Aberdeen how they play. But once they can get their own players in, and people like Brown and that get in the door, it'll be good to see. I'm looking forward to seeing Aberdeen next year. I think they can challenge out for this third place.
Yeah, it's a good point you make, Charlie. I cannot wait to see them next year. Do you know what, Tam, I'll be honest with you, I can't wait to see Scott Brown in a red and white shirt. I mean, it's just going to look so unusual. But I think, for some Aberdeen players, there's a rude awakening at the level they're at and the level he's operating at.
Yep, I think he'll put massive demands on the players, and that's why he's been brought in with Stephen Glass. Stephen wants him to drive the standards on and off the pitch, and Scott will do that every day in training. He'll be first in, he'll be last out, no matter what age he is and how much money he's got. He's still got that hunger, and as you see, the guys like Ferguson and McCrory can learn off of him. What a top professional he's been all his career, and his hunger and his desire to win. So, I think there's a few up there maybe just going through the motions over the last couple of months, but they'll not get away with that next year.
Yeah. Okay. You know what it's like. We've had a little teaser and taster of football this week, and we've picked certain games. I've been lucky enough to have watched one of the best games I've seen this season. I don't think any game will beat it other than the return leg. And if somebody wants to tell me a better game this season, then I stand to be corrected. But I have to say, Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain was absolutely magnificent. In contrast, will you be watching Hearts against Alloa tonight? That's the big question. I did admit to Stephen that I might actually give it a wee look over. Charlie, will you watch it?
No, I'm not sure the Masters is on, innit?
I would rather watch somebody put it in the water 50 times and watch Hearts in the
Listen, I would. I'll probably flick between two, but the Masters will be the one for me. I just, it's not going to be great quality, is it? So no, I'll go probably look at the Masters.
Yeah, okay. Here's the fixtures for the Championship. Robbie Nielsen has mentioned that this is a huge summer window for Hearts for signing players. If he's still there signing them, because if they lose to Alloa, if they lose to Alloa, Tam, I don't think he'll get the chance to sign them.
No, I think he's got to win. He's got to win that and got to win it well. They're still got to get a few points. I know everybody's saying the league's over, but if Alloa beat them tonight or take a point, surely it'll be squeaky bum time at Tynecastle. They've got to go win that game tonight, win it comfortably. Alloa, looks as if they're going to get relegated. They're bottom of the league. They're kind of marooned a little bit, so I would expect Hearts to go win that comfortably, to be honest. But I've said that a few weeks now.
Absolutely. Well, Wraith Rovers and Dundee, if either of those teams slip up and Hearts beat Alloa, the league's there, Charlie. It's done and dusted. So, what about your boys against Morton?
Yeah, no. Listen, I think this is our toughest game for now to end the season. Morton are obviously in the playoff position. From where they were to where they are now is difficult. Our lads are on a good bit of run and good form. Great win in the week. It's going to be a difficult game. I know Gus and Andy well, so they'll be trying to get 3 points. We're desperate to get 3 points because we played Dunfermline on Tuesday night as well, which can get us, probably into the playoffs. We want second place, and that will be a big game for us. So we've still to play Dunfermline, we've still to play Wraith Rovers, Inverness as well. So there's a few good games coming up for us, and it's a big game for us tomorrow.
Yeah. Do you get the feeling, Charlie, that you're now good enough to not only get through the playoffs, but obviously take the second bottom team in the Premiership?
Yes, on showing of what we've seen against St Johnston last week, and playing Hibs for 60 minutes, and over the two games I thought we played quite well in both games. We held our own. Obviously we ended up losing one of them 4-1, but over the piece I think that if we get through that playoff games and we can get a stab at one of the Premier League clubs, I think over 2 legs will be good enough. And we're hitting form at the right time. This is when it starts to get creepy, and this is when it starts to get interesting for clubs and a few nerves for a lot of players.
Yeah, well, listen, fingers crossed. I definitely hope you make it, not only into the playoffs, but certainly going back up to the top flight, because we need Dundee in the top flight. I've said that on many occasions, Roughie. Listen, I know a few chairmen, and you'll be privy to this, Roughie. I know a few chairmen have talked about the whole league setup. There's a fair bit of consternation going on at the moment about the Colt teams, whether they're going into the bottom end. They're still waiting on a vote on that. There's a playoff. Kelty Hearts will have ambitions of joining this league as well. And of course, I think the Stenhousemuir chairman is just talking about the fact that sooner or later, everybody's got to wake up and change the leagues, because it's just the repetitive nature of it. It needs something to stimulate everybody again.
Yeah, well, I think on this show, I think we're all in favour of the Colts coming in and adding something to the game. But unfortunately, as we know, this thing has to go to a vote. We know what happens when that happens. You're not 100% sure in which way certain teams are going to go. A lot of these teams in that second division won't want Brora or Kelty coming in there, because they're strong teams with good backing behind them. And we'll have to wait and see. Because it'd be good. I think a lot of the teams are hoping that the Rangers and Celtic come in and there's no relegation. But I don't know if that's the way it's going to go in the Bolton League. I mean, in Division 2. But for me, Brecon have to go. They're bringing nothing to that division, and it's time somebody like Kelty or Brora come in there and did add something to the second division.
Just on that point, Roughie, are you surprised that Ken Ferguson has now stepped down from the SPFL board? He tendered his resignation today.
No, I don't think so. I think everybody's been saying there needs to be, a massive changes in there. I think we were all a bit disillusioned by a lot of decisions that were getting made. And it's like everything. Sometimes you need a shake-up. You need different people coming in with different views. So we'll have to wait and see who that is.
Yeah, okay. Just before we go, guys, last night's games, Charlie, Arsenal, I've never been so gutted to see Slavia Prague get a late equaliser in that Europa League match. So it sets it up nicely for them. They're in a good place for the return leg.
Yeah, listen, they're a good side, Slavia Prague, and I don't want to keep bringing it up, but I did say that Kudela wouldn't go, didn't I, to London, and that's the way it is. But I think this is just open Man United right up. They must be close to being, odds-on favourites for this trophy now. It's a great opportunity for them, to go and win a piece of silverware for Solskjaer, with the teams that are left in it. But for Arsenal, I just think they've been poor this year again. And Arteta needs to try and get some sort of, players in the summer, and it looks like Aubameyang looks to have done what Ozil's done and just down tools a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Arsenal over the summer.
Yeah, a lot of people will maybe write them off in the return leg. Mikel Arteta reckons they've still got a chance.
Well, I totally believe that we can go there and win the match. If not, I wouldn't be sitting here. And the mindset has to be to go there and score goals and win the game, because we need to score if we want to be through.
Yeah, they're playing Sheffield United, and a game of the weekend down south in the English Premier League. Well, you can have your pick. Liverpool Villa looks a good one, but West Ham, Leicester, and Tottenham against Manchester United, Roughie, is screaming out at me.
Yeah, but I think for entertainment, I think Man City, Leeds United. I think Leeds United always come and have a go. It could be quite entertaining, end-to-end stuff. So I would probably go Man City, Leeds United.
Yeah, okay. Listen, I'm going to leave you with this last little point that I want your thoughts on, lads. And I read it out with a heavy heart, basically because I think possibly just over a year ago, the skullduggery started. It was gathering pace. The WhatsApp groups that Tam and I have caned Roughie for, and the decisions that were going on in the background, the backstabbing, the self-interest. And we wondered if the Scottish clubs would learn their lesson. Well, the answer is emphatically no, they haven't. An SPFL, I think it's a spokesman for the SPFL, said that the pyramid playoffs are in doubt. Given that there are a number of uncertainties, including whether League Two clubs will play 22 or 18 games this season, we are not in a position to announce dates for Pyramid playoff ties this season. Whilst we understand that this lack of certainty will be disappointing to supporters of Brora Rangers and Kelty Hearts, it is important that we are entirely fair to all clubs, including the SPFL club that finishes bottom of League Two this season. Our approach has always been to apply the rules that have been agreed by all member clubs, as well as Pyramid playoff rules agreed between the SPFL, the SFA, the Lowland League and the Highland League, and we will do so again this season. Now, that is a precursor to slamming the door shut again, Roughie. And if I was Kelty and I was Brora, I'd be going to court.
I tell you, Peter, it's ridiculous. It is absolutely, and I don't even think that's went to a vote. That's them. That's this board making another decision, and it's scandalous for clubs like Kelty and Brora who have put everything into this, and obviously Kelty have just started training again, to play this playoff, and that'd be 2 years in a row that these clubs have been and told they can't do it. It's absolutely. I'm like you. I think something has to be done. It's ridiculous that they're coming away with these kind of decisions. And for Brecon to get away with it again is absolutely scandalous.
Can I just say something, Charlie? Yep. I'm looking at this situation. I look at the skullduggery that went on to relegate Hearts. I look at the skullduggery that went on that eventually was to the detriment of Partick Thistle. I look at everything that's gone on from clubs with self-interest and backstabbing and colluding with each other. I feel for Barry Ferguson. Barry Ferguson's career as a manager has been all about trying to build it up. He did a good job at Clyde. He goes to Kelty Hearts, to try and maybe just send out a signal to people that he can actually build a side with a wee bit of money and try and get them into the main SPFL. And he's embraced it, and Kelty have embraced the pyramid system. And this, for me, just screams out, the SPFL is not fit for purpose. I think the whole thing needs to be shut down, people sacked, and a rethink on Scottish football. If this comes off, it's just another indication of how rotten this whole establishment is.
I can't disagree with you,
Charlie. Just if we're going to go in for, why have they given Brora and Kelty 2 dates to play a playoff game if there's no any end product?
But that's just a smokescreen, Roughie. They're now, the dates might not even happen. This is what they're saying. This is what you're reading between the lines. It's unbelievable. This is at the start of last year. We were adamant, Charlie, that what was going on with the SPFL, the board members should actually offer their resignation at times for last year's events. This year again, if they go through this whole thing, it needs a complete change. It needs a rethink to the same extent that we interviewed Lachlan at Ayr United. Lachlan Cameron, is it? Yeah, we had him on and we were talking about a change in the way Scottish football is governed. It's an embarrassment.
Peter, it's got to start from the top. It's got to start from the top of the SFA all the way down. Every club's going to look after themselves. We all know that, and that's what you have to do. But how this has gone on, the investment that Kelty and East Kilbride are making to try and achieve something, and you have clubs that are, bare bones, whatever, do you know what I mean, and finishing bottom of the league. East Stirlingshire were bottom of the league for 10 years and nothing happened. Eventually they got going. I think this has to have there's got to be a rethink, like you say. People have got to say about the membership or something, and got to stand strong and try and get a different pyramid, or move teams up to the top league and bring these teams in, because it's a shambles, and Scottish football have got to have a look at themselves.
Peter, in that statement, Peter, who are they saying it's unfair to? Who are they saying it's unfair to because of the games aren't getting played? Everybody,
SPFL clubs.
Everybody agreed in the many games that we're going to play. We're down at 18 plus 4, but we're agreeing that whoever's there gets promoted. So who's it unfair to in that division?
Yeah.
They all know the rules. They all knew the rules when they come back.
Absolutely, Roughie. But even when the rules are in place, they still move the goalposts. And this whole situation is basically all of them sitting, colluding elsewhere to actually say, oh no, we can't have this again, even although we've all agreed it. This is a scandal. It is absolutely bang out of order. We are a laughingstock, Tam.
Yeah, we are, Peter. I think I honestly feel so sorry for Barry Ferguson, Kelty, and Brora Rangers. They should be playing. They get shafted last season and all. And if they get shafted again this season, I'd go to court. I'd go and sue them for all the money they've put into the clubs. Charlie mentioned Disco Bride. I'm from there as well. They've invested a lot of money, and they've settled the loan league by points per game or whatever it was, which is shafts Disco Bride as well. So listen, I just think it's an absolute shambles from top to bottom. If Brora Rangers, if Bree can survive again, heads should roll at the SPFL. There's no doubt about it. They've got 9 lives. Garfield.
Absolutely. I never thought you'd finish with Garfield, but nevertheless, we'll take it. So, on that note, I wonder if there's anything to smile about today. Just a quick one to a couple of people who think I've dyed my hair blonde and put highlights in it. Roughie, as you well know, there's a huge window to the left-hand side of the studio, and the lights and everything are reflecting on it. There's only one man who'll get away.
Silver.
There's only one man. Well, it's silver, but there's only one man who gets away with blonde highlights. There's only one man who gets away with blonde highlights on this show, Roughie, as you know, and it's the boy next to me in the next block there. His promotional photograph looks like a Bond villain. Although I have to say, Charlie's going to give him a real run for his money once the transplant comes in. I cannot wait to see. Charlie, I can't wait to... There it is.
Come on.
Charlie is part of ZZ Top. Lamal, you're absolutely right. I cannot wait to see the Chaz Meister next year with a full head of hair. Brilliant, Chaz. Anyway, listen, we wish you the best of luck, Charlie, playing against Morton. Good luck to you, even though Gus McPherson's a huge fan of the show and a huge pal to us all. We're backing Chaz for Dundee to get the 3 points. Thanks to Roughie, to Charlie, to Tam, and from me, Peter Martin, to all of the people who've decent talking about their favourite team and the league and everything, and offering very good football points. We thank you, and we're delighted that you stick with us here in the football family. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook, please. And if you're on our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. Have a great weekend.
Expect